our session 3, and we welcome you to this opportunity to again get more membership ideas and information. I'm going to ask our District Governor Tommy Rosser to offer his welcome comments. Governor.
Thank you, Charles. Welcome, everyone. I just want to say what a great job Charles and his team are doing. I think all the clubs that I've visited have been very impressed with what's going on, and it's been really, really good. I see thumbs up, and I see a lot of great things happening in our district this year, membership-wise. But we all got to remember that it's all up here. I mean, this is what we got to do is look at ways to keep our members engaged, retain them, and let's build some new ones out there because people are wanting to be a part of Rotary. We just got to ask them. And I'm excited about this week and next week and everybody getting excited about the different types of memberships there are and how to keep your clubs engaged. And I look forward to this meeting and the one next week. But everybody remember, anytime you need help, there's a team. Charles and his team will be glad to help you in any way. And let's make 2021 the best year ever for this district. Remember one thing, as I told the clubs when I'm going around right now, do not let this year get by you. Before you know it, June 30th, 2021 will be here, and your year's over. And we need to make sure we got the numbers up in our clubs because we can do more good in the world and in our communities. Thanks, everyone, for being here. Charles, is all yours. You're on.
Thank you, Governor. I certainly appreciate your comments. 2 weeks ago, you had the privilege of hearing Dr. Mary Berg encourage us as we looked at the idea of how to take the strategic plan and strategic priorities of Rotary and harness them to enhance the membership experience, attract new Rotarians, and to be more adaptive. Last week, you were, I hope as I was, wowed by Area 11 membership advocate Lisa Haslett as she encouraged us to look for ways to adopt membership engagement opportunities as she shared with us the ways to get all members in our clubs in the process and to get them to have a vibrant Rotary experience. Today in session 3, Area 11 AG Ron Pierce will share with us ways to embrace membership retention opportunities and bring back members of Rotary clubs to the club so they're both present and active in their membership and are inviting others to experience Rotary. In session 4 on August the 25th, past District Governor John Spillman will share with us the new opportunities of membership types and club models provided by the Rotary Council on Legislation in 2016 and 19, as well as the new innovative club opportunities that are even available today. And those are for our use, that as you'll have a resource folder for each session that's on the homepage of the district website. That's at rotary7690.org. And there's a link up there for the resources for this event. And for each event, you'll have resources in that, as well as each session is being recorded. And you can go back and review the recordings and figure out, okay, what are some things that I need to get from that. Today, we're privileged to have as our speaker for session 3, Ron Pierce. Ron's been a Rotarian since 2010, but was originally introduced to Rotary when he was a student for the month at the Rocky Mount Rotary Club when he was attending Rocky Mount Senior High School in 1990. He has a degree in religious education from Gardner-Webb University, where Ron learned how to work and build nonprofit teams. He never thought he would be helping Rotary clubs grow, but God knew that seminary was not in Ron's plan, and he had a different future for Ron. The plan was one of corporate life as a founder and owner of the Trinity Solutions Incorporated, a computer IT solution company that has a team of 8 members in the triad. Ron is a past president of the Guilford Rotary Club and a former membership advocate, as well as the current area governor for Area 11. Ron's belief is that the past should be a guide, not an anchor, and that Rotary clubs can and should be one of the most vital and vibrant organizations in the community. Ron, we look forward to your comments today, and I'm turning it over to you. Thank you, Ron.
Thanks, Charles. Okay, Show of hands, anybody who has ever heard me speak before, you got a little thing down at the bottom there where you can do reactions or a thumbs up or a thumbs down, depending on what you heard. You know, there's no telling what you might have heard me before. If you've been to district conference, I have spoke, and if you possibly have been to any membership training, you may have seen me do a video talking about what we did over at Guilford Rotary Club. So now we're in the middle of a pandemic, and all those ideas that I shared, how do they apply? How do we make this work? How do we keep our members? That's what we're going to be talking about today, because I can tell you that looking back at that video where I was sharing all those ideas, I would tell you that about 85% of what I did at Guilford Rotary, I probably could not do right now. Because it's a different world and it's a different setup trying to do the meetings. So it's kind of like, all right, if I was president this year, what would I do? And how would I change things and what would I be looking at? So that's what this presentation is going to be about. It's going to be, all right, what am I going to do for the club now that we're doing virtual, and we're also possibly looking here towards the fall of starting hybrid. Some of the clubs are actually trying to get into doing hybrid meetings. So let me see if I can do a screen share here, and I'm going to switch over to PowerPoint here. And let's see if you get that. You should see on your screen right now, it says it's all about retention, maintaining and growing your club in 2020. Charles gave me the thumbs up. That means it's working. Hey, you've got to love technology, even if you own an IT company. Okay, so let's talk about this. How are we going to keep these clubs doing what we need them to do? So first question here is, so how do we keep our club alive and growing during the pandemic? This has been one of the biggest challenges I think Rotary's had to deal with in quite a while. And it's something that I know the local clubs, we're all trying to figure this out. Because let's just kind of be honest here. And anybody's ever heard me talk, I am very frank and very to the point and sometimes a little blunt when it comes to talking about what's going on in clubs. Because my belief is that if you're honest, you can deal with it. When you sugarcoat it, it doesn't allow you to fix the problems. So let's just have a pretty honest and open session about what's going on in the clubs right now, okay? I've done some research. I spoke with the 7770 in South Carolina about this. I've talked to other clubs. Right now, the average club, when you have a virtual Zoom meeting, what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing is about 50% is a good number. If you got more than 50%, you're doing great. If you got less than 50%, you're probably with everybody else. The reason that we are giving ourselves is that, well, we have older members who don't like to use the technology. There's security issues. We've heard that one, that, you know, Zoom can't be trusted, might get hacked. I don't know how to run the security. I don't know how to run the technology. So we're hearing a lot of these reasons. But what's interesting is when you actually go and look at the membership and who's attending, it's more of the more regular and older members who are actually attending. It's the newer members and the ones who are pretty active in corporate who aren't attending. And these were the people who would show up for the meetings, but now all of a sudden are not. And actually some of the people who wouldn't show up for meetings are attending the virtual. So it's kind of like we've done a trade-off here. We're flipping. So the question is why aren't we keep getting those people who are visiting the meetings, why aren't they there? So I'm going to be point blank honest with you. What's happening in the club is that we're trying to run a virtual meeting like we did when we were running in person. And what we're finding is, and I think a lot of your people are discovering this, is that a virtual meeting, a Zoom meeting, is magnifying the boring aspects of our club meetings. You know, when you're in a club and you're physically and you're having a meal or whatever, you sit there and talk with people at the table and you cut up and you have a good time. And then whatever the speaker is, well, even if they're not the greatest speaker in the world, you could probably just kind of cut up a little bit and still enjoy yourself and leave the meeting going, that was a pretty decent meeting. The speaker was okay, but you know, you still had fun and enjoy yourself. all the elements that would allow for a Rotary meeting to be okay and enjoyable. When we go virtual, you've pulled those out. And now that you've pulled those out, what you're left with is those elements that you see, like if you were watching a television show. And the problem is that those elements are, for the most part, not creating any enthusiasm. There's no energy in them. And so what you're getting is hopefully you're getting a really good speaker, but if the speaker is not that good, then it's all kind of magnifying. And so that club meeting is no longer as vibrant as it used to be. It's dulled out, it's lost some of its energy, and for some it's become boring. And so what's happened is that those people who would take time out to at least have a meal or go somewhere or whatever, well, now they're weighing their options and going, do I want to sit in front of a screen for 45 minutes? Or do I just want to go do something else? And they're choosing something else. And so that's why for most clubs, we're running into problems here for keeping our members active, is because our meetings, quite honestly, are stale, they're boring, and we're trying to run a meeting the way we did in person. I'm going to tell you, you can't do it. If you are trying to run your virtual meeting the way you did when you were running a traditional meeting, it's not working. And that's why you're having problems. We're going to have to go back to the drawing board here. And that's what we're going to be talking about. So Lisa made a statement last week that I totally 100% agree with. She said, members grow members. If you're trying to grow your club, it's going to take your current club members who are going to reach out and bring people in. The issue we've got, though, for virtual meetings is that you've got to have something that people want when you get them to the virtual meeting. If you get them to it, and you introduce them and, talk to them, whatever, if there isn't something that keeps them there, they're going to go, well, that was great. Thanks for the invitation. They're not coming back. So you've got to put some kind of plan. You've got to put something in place in your meeting that's going to allow for someone to attend that meeting and go, you know what? That was probably the best Zoom meeting I have been on all week. And you guys tell me you kind of do this every week. That's cool. All right, so I want to come back. If that's not the response that your guest and actually your current members are having, you're going to see your retention is going to fall. And I'm going to make a prediction to you here. Right now, what you're seeing is in this lull, if we don't make changes and start making our virtual meetings a little bit more active, a little bit more interactive and dynamic, you're going to see our numbers drop because people are going towards the end of the year just going to go, I don't really see any reason why to continue. And if we don't put some stuff in place right now and start working and getting our people back involved in the meetings, it's going to be pretty nasty come springtime. And so it's up to us now to make these changes. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to rethink your virtual meeting, and I want you to approach it like a television show, okay? Don't approach it as a traditional Rotary meeting. Approach it as a TV show. Think about your TV shows that you enjoy and what makes them enjoyable, okay? I can tell you that there's probably 3 elements in a successful television show. The first thing is it's got a plot. There's a reason behind that episode. The second thing is there's probably some humor, and there's probably a twist, something you didn't expect. Those 3 elements need to be in your Zoom meetings. Somehow, some way, you need to incorporate a purpose/plot into your meeting. There's got to be some humor, some enjoyment that people are having in the meeting, and then you got to throw some twists and some surprises, something they weren't expecting. Do something that catches them off guard. You've got to involve your people just like a good, solid television show hooks its audience. You've got to hook your audience when you're doing this. So what does that mean? That means that you cannot take a Zoom virtual Rotary meeting and run it off the cuff. You can't do it. Not if you're going to be good at it, and not if you're going to grow. It means you got to plan. You got to work on this a little bit. You're going to have to be looking at planning and elements probably 2 weeks out, working on each So like right now, if I'm the president and I'm looking at what this meeting is going to be, I'm looking at already planning for the first week of September right now. I've already gotten the next 2 weeks ready to go. I've got those elements in place and I'm already building on the second week. I cannot run off the cuff. Running off the cuff is going to be a boring meeting, I guarantee it. And you're not going to have people who are going to be interactive. So you've got to put some emphasis, some energy, some time, some planning into your meetings to make this work. The other thing you've got to do is you cannot go with what you're running into right now. We're running virtual meetings like we have a person on the podium and we're taking turns. It works when you have an in-person meeting. It does not work in a virtual meeting. If you do not have interaction and some talking going on, you're going to have problems. Now, what we run into is that there's obviously certain times where we don't want the talking, where we do a mute all and we're telling people don't, not right now, or we got a speaker and that's perfect. You shouldn't. But there should be some interaction going on with the sergeant of arms, talking to the people, asking people questions, getting feedback. Crescent Rotary has done polls. Zoom will allow you to do polls. You've got to get your people involved in the conversation that you're having, and you have to be intentional about this. You've got to have parts in your Zoom meeting where you're personally asking questions and wanting feedback and giving people a chance, because you've lost that element when because you're doing virtual. You used to have it when you were sitting at the tables and talking to people. Now you don't have that. I can't chat with somebody and talk about what the comment was just made. So you've got to rearrange this Zoom meeting so that you give people that opportunity, because most people, when they're in a virtual meeting like this, are not going to say anything unless they are specifically asked to comment. It's just like, you don't tend to talk to the television, unless you're yelling at your team, because they're doing something stupid. But, people are wired that way. They don't talk to the screen. So unless you ask them questions, they're not going to interact. But the more interaction you have with your club, the more that meeting's going to come alive and the more you're going to be able to enjoy that meeting. So get your people involved in a meeting. All right. Let's talk about a couple other things you can do. The other thing is that we've got the mentality, and thank goodness we finally kind of gone, okay, I can get out of my comfort zone and I can go ask somebody who's outside of our area to speak. And that's great. But don't lock yourself into this. I mean, because you are virtual, you've got the ability to pull in other resources and other things. You can run videos in your meeting. You can go to YouTube and search out for TEDx and have a TEDx speaker speak and do the presentation for your meeting. And then maybe it's a 10 or 15 minute TEDx, and then the rest of the meeting is a discussion about what that person was talking about. So now you've got the interaction and the sharing and involved parts of it. You can use YouTube videos. Maybe you go and get a Robin Williams comedy skit video or something and show that at the beginning, as part of the humor section that you bring in. Things like that. You can get creative. Go ahead and find your other resources that you've got that you can use. You don't have to be locked into just the people who are in your club. Go after what's already out there. If it's digital, it's for grabs. Use it. The other thing is, and I know I'm going to rock the boat on this one, but some of you have got some people who are currently the MC, the president, who are not very good hosts. And it's not because of anything against them. It's just naturally they're not wired to be a host. They're great and they're good at organization and keeping things going, but when it comes to leading the meeting, this just isn't their strength. Again, you've got the ability to make some changes. So maybe the president realizes that they're not the best person to, quote, lead and host the meeting. Maybe someone else in the club is more of a MC kind of individual. Then let them be the MC. It's nothing, it doesn't take away from the president and their power. it's kind of like, we think that just because someone's the president, well, they've got to be the one who's leading the group and speaking the whole time. That's a tradition that we can use, but it's not something we have to stay as an anchor. We can choose to let there be someone who speaks and kind of becomes that MC for the club, especially if you're trying to get guests in and you realize that the person, who is traditionally the speaker is not that energetic. They don't have a lot of energy, but there is somebody in the club who does. Then use them. Use that to their advantage, to your advantage. Bring them in, let them have more power, more say within the meetings to be able to be more, make the meetings more dynamic. Use your strengths in that way. The other thing is that you got to start thinking about promos. Again, I'm telling you about TV and I'm looking at this TV, but if you're not letting people know what is coming up in the next couple of weeks, and not just the speaker, but hey, we're going to be talking about this concept. Would love for your input. Hey, we're going to have Crazy Hat Day. You need to be prepared. Here's a photo of somebody's crazy hat, from 5 years back. I mean, things like this. You've got to start pumping, priming the pump here. People have got to be excited. If all you're sending is, here's the reminder of the link for Zoom coming up in 24 hours, that is not priming the pump. Matter of fact, you are putting sand in the pump if that's what you're doing. People are tired of getting emails that have Zoom links in them. So yes, you got to send it out so people know that that's what, it's coming up, but do something to make this a little bit more energetic. Get a little creative. Have somebody create an off-the-cuff video, a selfie video of some sort, just kind of, introducing, hey, here's the next here's what we're going to be talking about next week. But get a little bit creative here, but get the pumps primed. Let people know what's coming. The other thing is that don't stay virtual any longer than you have to. I know that some of you, as soon as you can get into some sort of hybrid meeting, it's going to help your club and it's going to bring things back. But also, let's say that you can't meet for a while. Then best thing you can do is try to get 1 or 2 people together and go have coffee or lunch in your club. Just do something with some club members, especially go after those ones who have not been involved in the meetings, who aren't coming to your virtual meetings. Reach out to them. Hey, let's go get a cup of coffee. Hey, let's go have lunch. I mean, you can do that, and that's not a problem. But these people who have basically left the room and they aren't coming to your virtual meetings, they are still cared for. They still need to know they're cared for, and you've got to be reaching out to them. Do it as much as you possibly can. Share what you can with them about what's going on. Now, Tommy had mentioned this at the very beginning. He was talking about care teams, and a lot of clubs have been talking. Okay, yeah, we need care teams, and the concept of the care team is that these are people who are sending emails, who are interacting, who are reaching out to those people who are not attending. That is critical right now. You've got to have a care team. You need to have a care team captain who's responsible for that. What some clubs are dealing with is they're not quite sure how to organize this. How do you make this work? So let me give you an example of how you could possibly do this. I'm going to throw up an Excel spreadsheet here. Think of this as virtual tables. If you've got meals or whatever in your club or did have meals, you have people who would probably sit at the same table every week. I mean, it's tradition. So why don't use that concept for your care team? So reach out to 5 or 6 individuals or however many you need and ask them, would you mind being a table captain, a virtual table captain? And then create the list of these are your people who are going to be at your table. When we meet, I want you to go through the Zoom list and I want you to see who at your table is on the Zoom meeting and who's not. The ones who are not, I want you to reach out to them right after the meeting and tell them, hey, we missed you. hey, what's going on? Why weren't you there? I mean, pick up the phone, do whatever you got to do, and then report back to me within 48 hours. Again, this is me being the president or me being the care team leader, but report back to me in 48 hours why that individual was not in the meeting. Okay. Maybe they're on vacation. Maybe they're busy. Maybe they just point blank are bored and don't like the Zoom meetings. This is the stuff you need to know. You need to hear. But the thing that you could do is you can rotate your table captains at least like once a month. So that like in the spreadsheet, Terry is table captain 1, but maybe in a month he becomes table captain 2. He gets a list of 5 to 8 more people, and these are different people, so that all year the person, quote, who isn't showing up isn't hearing from the exact same person every time. Okay. You know as well as I do, if you hear from the exact same person after you've missed a few meetings, you know good and well it's, quote, their job to reach out. And so you're both kind of shaking your head going, yeah, I know you're supposed to call me. Yeah, I'm sorry, I wasn't there. I hope to be there next week. Great. Okay, wonderful. Glad to talk to you. Hope, is there anything we can do for you? Please let us know. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Boom, there's in the conversation. It's the same conversation every week. You got to mix it up. You got to have different people reaching out to these people, and you can't just send them an email. You can't just make a phone call. You got to invite them. Go, hey man, why don't you go? I'd love to go lunch with you. You know, you and I have never had lunch together, and we've been in the same Rotary Club for 15 years. Why don't we go have lunch together sometime? Or are you open for breakfast? Let's go somewhere for breakfast. I mean, get these people back in building the connections again. They need those connections. And if you're not kind of bringing it in and being the one who initiates it, it's not going to happen. So rotate your captains, and then you can kind of keep up with what's going on. And then if you start noticing a pattern, like everybody's going, well, you know, I'm just really busy during the Zoom meetings. We're in the South. Nobody likes to say anything negative to somebody. So if you keep getting excuses that they've got something else to do, it means from a priority standpoint, your Zoom meeting is low. It means there's not anything there to keep them there. So you need to figure out why you've got to change in order to make them more interested in realizing, hey, wow, you know, and guess what? When your meetings get interactive, it's like a television show. People talk about a good television show. I'm watching something right now on Netflix that my coworker told me about. I never would have thought or heard of it if I hadn't heard from him. It's the same thing with Rotary. People are going to tell other people about cool and crazy things that you're doing in your Rotary meeting, and they're going to want to participate. And virtually is the easiest way for them to participate. All right. So let's keep going here. This is one of the thoughts that, you know, and I believe Tommy said it earlier, and it is so true. This is your mental mindset. You have got to, in your mind, envision that what's going on right now is an opportunity for your Rotary Club and not a Rotary Club killer. If you are looking at, if your mentality is, we've just got to survive this, okay? Your mentality is, this is a Rotary Club killer. That's the wrong mentality, and it's going to kill your club. I will go ahead and tell you right now, if that is your mentality, you're going to kill your club, because you cannot grow with that mentality, and survival is not going to happen. I will put this out there. Because of COVID-19, your club is going to do one of two things. It is either going to grow or it is going to die, because it's one of those two. It cannot happen any other way. You're not going to be able to maintain. You're going to lose members if you're not actively putting them back in place and getting them engaged in your meeting. And it's going to be rough come springtime if we don't do this. And Tommy knows it. The district team knows it. That's why you're seeing us do so heavy on membership right now. It's because we know it. So we're trying to get everybody's mentality to realize that this is an opportunity. It's not a Rotary Club killer. And what we're trying our best is for people to think, what could we become from a 21st century club? And I told Charles, you know, he asked me to write my bio, and I said, I view the past as a guide, not an anchor. What we have always done does not mean we have to currently keep doing it this way. And because we're doing virtual meetings right now, we've really got the ability to wipe the slate clean and do something different, to do something unique. We're just really nervous because we don't know really how to run virtual meetings and do Zoom meetings. And so what we did was we took the template of how you run a traditional meeting and we put it on top of a virtual meeting. And we said, well, at least we know this will work because it works with a regular in-place meeting. The issue is that it doesn't. It doesn't work well. It'll work, but it doesn't work well. So you've now got the opportunity to mix things up. You can change some elements. You can actually do some things that you've never done before, and you still can make it work. Remember, Rotary Club does not have to function identically from every other club. And you realize that when you visit other clubs. Some clubs sing a song. Some clubs say the four-way test at the beginning. Some say at the end. Some people do greeting a different way. You now have a blank slate. Use the blank slate. Don't be afraid of changing things around on the meeting. But I will tell you that if you're going to change things around, at least do it a little bit at a time. Don't go rearranging the meeting completely, but change an element, one or two elements every 2 to 3 weeks. Just give it a little bit of a little bit of extra flavor to the meeting, and keep doing that. And then have an idea of what you would like to see this meeting look like when you get done with these changes. And then by the time you've made your little changes, you're going to be pretty close to what you're looking at. The other thing that you've got to remember is that you got 4 reasons that people are still joining and participating in your club. Those 4 reasons have not changed. They are not going to go away, even though we're doing virtual. So you've got to remember that people are coming on to your Zoom meeting for these 4 reasons. They're looking for networking opportunities, way to grow their business. They're looking for a way to help give back to the community. They're looking for a way to grow their leadership abilities and who they are. And they're looking for friends and fellowship. Tommy talks about that was one of the first things that he noticed when he came to a Rotary Club was the friends and the fellowship. There's a lot of people who that is a major component. It's got to be in there. And what's interesting is that when we take and make it all virtual, that piece of it, unless it's intentional, can very quickly disappear. And if that's why somebody's coming, guess what? They're not going to attend your virtual Zoom meeting anymore because they're not getting the fellowship that they used to get when they came. So if you got people who aren't coming, I'd reach out to them and I'd just say, quick question, is the reason you're not participating in the Zoom meeting because you just kind of missed the fellowship? I'd be willing to bet you're going to have a lot of people go, yep, that's exactly why. You know, I go in Zoom meetings all the time, but man, I miss getting together. I can't wait till we get back together. And, you know, that was the best part for me, was sitting at the table and talking to people and finding out about their day and what had been going on. Yeah, you're going to find that that's an integral part, and you've got to bring those elements back in. So let's talk about how you can bring those elements back in from a virtual standpoint. Okay. How do you do this networking? All right, so here's an example. I'm just going to throw examples for you out here, okay? You can host a who do you know session, okay, where the first member asks, who do you know that's, let's just say, a dentist, because I'd like to meet them. And then the other members in the group can say, yeah, I know somebody or whatever. Then they write it down, and at the end of the meeting, they go and get that information. They can either reach out to that person and say, hey, I got a friend who's in my Rotary Club who'd love to sit down with you. Do you mind? And set up that meeting. Or they can at least pass the information on to somebody and say, hey, here's Dr. Stevens. He's my dentist. Just use my name when you reach out to him. He'll know me. You know, he's worked on my kids' teeth for 30 years. This gives you an example. This is a great way to grow networking. It gives people an idea, and it's something that's not traditional meeting. It gives them the ability to reach out and grow their business. Everyone gets to take a turn, and then for your members who are retired, they're your resource people. Yeah, I know this person. Oh, I remember this person. Or, hey, yeah. Now, they become the people who help provide. They may not need to know somebody, but then again, they may, because they may need to know somebody to, let's say, do repairs on their house. Who do you know that does, replaces windows? Because I need to get windows replaced. I mean, they still could have a need. They just may not need it for their business. All right. So next one, giving back to the community. All right. How are we going to do this from a virtual meeting? All right. This is where we bring back up the subject of micro projects. How do you do a micro project virtually? All right. So what you do is you tell them what you're going to do and who you're going to help. You give them 2 weeks advance notice to get the supplies they need. Okay. Maybe, you know, I'm going to use the coloring book thing again. All right. So you've heard me say this before, you know, how do you do coloring books for kids virtually? All right. So you tell them, all right, I want everybody to get a coloring book, a pack of crayons, and we're going to do this together at 2 weeks from today. That 2 week meeting, that's what we do. Everybody's just online and they're all coloring. Okay. Now, if you're a member or if you are the president, you can scan the coloring book page and send it to everybody. So everybody's coloring the same page. Do whatever, however you want to do it. But just allow people to work together. And then it's open time. It's open mic time. Hey, you know, while I'm coloring, hey, Bill, hold up your picture. Let me see what it looks like. Oh, Bill, you didn't do very well in kindergarten, did you? I mean, you know, things like that. You know, just kind of have fun, enjoy them. But it allows them to have a time to get together, to do a micro project that helps somebody out. And then you can decide how do you get all from each other. You know, can you meet at a park and collect everything? Can everybody take theirs to a drop-off spot? What do you need to do? Okay. All right. So here's another one. How do you do leadership and growth virtually? Okay. This is one of the ones that you can really use your senior members, or the ones I call the originals. You can have a wisdom from the wise session. And what you do is you ask 4 of your retired members, or ones who've been in business for 30, 40 plus years, and you say, I'd like for you to spend like 5 minutes and give us a couple of lessons that you learned in business and just share them with the group. And then allow it to be just a session of just sharing and giving feedback. You know, hey guys, this is how I knew not to choose a client, or this is how I fired a client. You know, allow them to have time to share. I guarantee you will have some of the best stories that come out of this session, and you'll be something that everyone enjoys and they will remember. And guess what? You can rotate, because I guarantee you got more than just 4 originals in your group, and you can let 4 more do it, you know, somewhere down the line. So maybe you're doing this once a quarter, but now you're getting people who are learning from people who have had experience, and it builds relationships. And the next time you're together, they're going to go, Larry, I remember when you talked about that. Tell me more about that story. Okay, so it builds relationships. All right, friends and fellowship. How do we do this virtually? This could be done several different ways, but I'm going to give you one example here. Maybe you could play virtual trivia pursuit. So let's say you have a small Zoom group that is an after hours group. 4 or 5 people get together, and basically you're just playing virtual trivia pursuit. The first person who can answer a question in every one of the categories, they win. Okay. You just take turns and you rotate. If you're doing this as a club meeting, maybe you take 10 trivia pursuit questions and you ask everybody, and everybody has to answer, write down their answer. Whoever gets the most correct answers, they win a $25 Amazon gift card. And if it's virtual, you can email a $25 Amazon gift card to somebody. So don't even have to worry about picking that up. If there's a tie, you have 3 questions that are tiebreakers. Whoever gets those tiebreakers wins. I mean, give your club opportunities to play games virtually. You can do this. Trivia is probably the easiest thing you can do in a club meeting, but have fun with it. You know, again, if you're trying to dress this up from, you know, it's more of a kind of a television show kind of thing, you know, do you have props you can use? Do you have hats? Do you have something that people can look at and laugh at, and, you know, and joke like, oh my gosh, I've never seen Harry wear something like that before. I mean, you know, maybe it's a virtual scavenger hunt where, all right, you're going to have a list of 5 items, and you got 5 minutes to go find those items in your house, and you've got to hold them up in front of the camera. And then once you hold them up in front of the camera, the first one who holds them, they win. I mean, do something that involves people to get more interactive and get out of their seat, whatever you got to do. But Those 4 areas, growing business, opportunities to help the community, growing leadership skills, and friends and fellowship, those are all pieces that keep people in your Rotary Club. All those pieces have to stay in place virtually or you're going to lose them. So you got to keep them. All right, last statement. You can do this, but you can't do it the way you've always done it. Okay? You can grow and keep your members, but you can't do it the way you've always done it. Not if you plan on being successful, and not if you're going to keep your numbers up at the end of the year. All right, so I got questions here, and I'm going to stop the share. Woo, I just threw a bunch of stuff out. There's grenades launched all over the place in this place. Oh man. All right, so let's talk about it. Questions?
Hey, Ron, Dick O'Donnell
Yes.
from Alamance. This is
Hey,
the
Dick.
second time I've heard you speak, and the other one was at Sedgefield last August. And I didn't hear it today, but the whole theme is make it fun. And that's absolutely what you have to do. And, you know, maybe in my case, I'll have a green day. Everybody has to wear green that day or something. So
There you go.
thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Can I say something here, Ron?
Mr. John, how are you,
Dyker,
sir?
Siler City Club. I unmuted myself, but can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
I can hear you.
Ah, okay, because I don't not seeing a picture there. Anyway, Ron, you just made a perfect example of what you were saying. Throwing that PowerPoint up there, it made it a great message that you had to deliver, boring, and you had several really important points to say. Your idea about the somebody being the interlocutor, having that talent at the club instead of it necessarily being the president, that's a great concept. I'm worried about your idea of folks having lunch together. It's still kind of risky for high-risk people to go out to meals, and having these Zoom meetings is wonderful. I've had three new members we've about retain and get back in the club because we are meeting on Zoom, and it'll be, I hope, wonderful for them. So as a membership chair, we've got some real opportunities here. There's all kinds of things you can do with Zoom. I see a nod there that we,
Absolutely.
you know, I pulled my shirt on today to dress up for you, Ron. But otherwise, I didn't have to get out of bed and travel. I had a day out yesterday. It was hard. I'll hush now, but you really exemplified it perfectly, what you were trying to tell us.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
Ron, thank you for that excellent presentation. You've given us quite a bit of information just to, wow, okay, now let's put it to work. For everybody on the call, this information will be in the resource folder on the district website, rotary7690.org. And Phil Morris, once we get this video edited that we've got today, we recorded this, we will also have that up. The PowerPoint will be up there, and several other resources will be in the session 3 folder. So go to that folder and you'll be able to find today's information. Ron Pierce will get that PowerPoint sent over to Phil Morris, who can get that put up, and then we'll get that done for you. So, wow, we really appreciate you joining us today for this excellent session. We're just pleased that all of you are here with us today. I do ask you to please remember, if you have not registered for session 4, which will be next week, and John Spillman will be sharing with us, be sure and register. We'll be sending out a link tomorrow that will have the registration link for you. And we look forward to having you join us with our final session, number 4, next Tuesday at 4 p.m. And again, we thank you. I know we had said originally we wanted to keep our comments to about 30 minutes, but there is so much great content, and we really appreciate our speakers taking the time to really put together exciting and innovative ideas for us to use as we go forward in our Rotary experience this year. Again, I applaud and thank each of you for being here today. Right now, there's 116 of you here, and we appreciate you taking the time from your schedules. And please reach out to us as the district membership team. Most of you should have my contact information. If you don't, send me find out. We're on the district website, and we'll be glad to get back to you and help you in any way we can. We have a very innovative team who are working hard to get you the information you need. Thank you for, again, being with us today. We appreciate your attendance, and thank you. You folks have a great evening, and again, congratulations on what you'll have this year. Thank you.